This is an introduction to the Shorts 360 preflight. When opening the main cabin door, be sure the locking collar engages to hold the door open. Then lower the stairs. Enter the cabin and walk up to the cockpit to turn on some power. Without a power cart, you'll be switching the electrical master to internal to get ground services. Then you can begin your external preflight. We'll start by opening the rear baggage compartment door and locking it open with the securing bar. Looking inside the compartment, check to see that the fire extinguisher boss is unobstructed, that both smoke detectors are covered and undamaged, and that the compartment light is operative. Also check to see that there is an ice chest on the floor of the compartment. Then unlatch the door and stow the securing bar. Close the door and make sure the locking marks are in alignment when the handle is in the closed position. Continue to the tail of the aircraft, checking the vertical stabilizer for an undamaged boot and 9 vortex generators along the leading edge. Then move along the horizontal stabilizer, inspecting the boot and left tip for damage. Check the static wicks, outer hinge point, trim tab hinge point, and push rod for security, and the presence of a bonding wire. Step back and inspect the rudder, its trim tab, and the vortex generators on the leading edge of the rudder, as well as its hinge points. Inspect the tail nav light for damage, and note the security of the static wick at the bottom of the rudder. Kneel down and check to see that the cabin exhaust vents are unobstructed. Then inspect the right vertical stabilizer, rudder, and right elevator as you did with the left. Again, be sure there are 9 vortex generators on the right side of the vertical stabilizer. Check the ELT battery vent and tail battery drain for blockage, and check for the ELT antenna on the roof. Then kneel down and check that the lavatory discharge door is latched and that there are no leaks. Continue to the emergency exit, open the door and make sure it locks open. Then release the lock, shut the door, and latch it. Check the rotating beacon on the belly for damage. Then check the half circles along the roofline for red stains that could indicate a fuel or hydraulic leak. Check the flap angle markings on the fuselage. They may be needed if the indicator in the cockpit fails. The vent should be on the bottom of the collector cell cover, and the fuel drain cover should also be secure. Next, we'll check the fueling panel on the stub wing. Open the access door and check first the forward contents gauge showing 700 pounds here, the leveling valve EI showing vertical, the aft contents gauge at 700 pounds, and the aft leveling valve EI, white and vertical. Next, check that the refuel-defuel valves are in the shut position, and that the master switch is in the off safety position with the latch in place. Close the access door and check that the fuel tank vent is unobstructed. Also, inspect the blowback dampener, inner actuator, hinge, and push rod. Next, check for a fire bottle discharge disc and that the oil cooler outlet screen is clear and unobstructed. Inspect the mid-flap section and check that the safety link between the mid and outer flap sections is in place. Continue the flap inspection and also check that the landing light cooling outlet is not blocked. Check to see that the aileron hinge points, bonding wires, and counterweights are secure. Also check for the two static wicks at the end of the aileron. Inspect the right nav light and cover for security, and move along the leading edge of the wing, checking the condition of the de-ice boot. Check the stall warning vane for damage, and check the landing light lens and cooling hole for cracks or damage. Inspect the right wing strut, and then open the right wheel cover door to inspect the wheel assembly. Inspect the downlock switch, the gear pin hole, the weight switch, and tire wear at this time. Then close the door. Check for a fire bottle discharge disc. It may be difficult to see because of exhaust soot buildup. There is another disc on the other side of the cowling. Then inspect the cowling vents for blockage. They include the accessory gearbox cooling NACA, the oil cooler intake, the case drain, and the inertial separator exit. Inspect the three cowling latches and the right exhaust stack. Then go to the propeller. Check each blade for security and nicks or erosion. Also inspect the spinner, making sure all the screws are in place. Check to see the alignment pin is in position on the lower cowling, indicating proper cowling alignment. Inspect the engine intake for blockage and check the intake anti-ice boot for damage. Also look for blockage of either side vent. Check the oil cooler intake scoop and starter generator NACA vent for blockage. Then check the 3 cowling latches and exhaust stack. Next, check the brake wear pins. One of the pins is shown here. The brakes may be set when checking these pins. Then check the hydraulic drain near the stub wing for excessive fluid leakage. A small amount of leakage is normal. Again, check along the roof line for fuel and hydraulic leakage. And be sure the collector tank cover drain is down and the fuel drain door is secure. Open the forward emergency exit and make sure it locks in the open position. Then unlock the door and shut it, making sure it is fully latched. Check to see that the ground air supply door is latched, and then open the ground power door and inspect the 3 pins for damage. Close the door, and then inspect the gasper air intake for obstructions. Check to see that the avionics bay doors are fully secured. Inspect the right nav antenna and pitot tube, and check to see that both top and bottom static ports are clear. Inspect the right battery vents, ice detector, and landing gear scissors, strut, and tire for damage. Also check the gear doors and taxi light for security and damage. In addition, check for the absence of a nose gear pin flag. Step in front of the nose so that you can view the vents on the roof for blockage. Inspect the 2 NACAs and the ditching hatch handles alignment with the wind. Also check the windshield wipers for damage or wear. Open the forward baggage door and lock it in the open position. Inspect the forward smoke detector, the fire extinguisher boss, and the aft smoke detector. Test the compartment lighting. Release the door lock and close the door and lock it. Check that the static vents are clear and the accumulator access door is secure. Check the pitot tube, nav antenna, and see that the avionics access door is secured. Then kneel down to inspect the belly. First, the left battery outlet vent, the left cockpit air outlet, the left battery inlet vent, and the right cockpit air outlet. Then inspect the antennas, the ADF loop, the number 1 transponder, COM number 2, the number 1 DME, the marker beacon antenna, and the number 2 transponder. Check the left gasper intake and inspect the ice light lens for damage. Open the left emergency exit, assure that it locks open, then unlock it and close the exit, making sure that it is fully latched. Inspect the half circles along the roofline for fuel and hydraulic leaks, and check the left brake wear pins. Continue the inspection, checking the pitot and NACA type vents, cowling latches, exhaust stack, and propeller as you did on the right side. Check that the alignment pin is in position. Inspect the intake, boot, and side vents for blockage or damage. Then check the left latches, stack, and vents. Continue along the strut to the landing light, stall warning vane, and remainder of the leading edge boot. Check the left nav light, static wicks on the aileron, counterweights, hinge points, and bonding wires. Also check the landing light vent, emergency link, fire bottle disc, and oil cooler outlet. Then inspect the left landing gear strut mechanism and tire. Open the door to the hydraulic servicing panel and check that the bottom pressure gauge reads between 40 and 60 psi and that the filling points are properly capped. Inspect the inner flap hinge and damper and check the OAT probe for damage. Check for flap angle markings on the fuselage and check the half circles along the roof for fuel leaks. After returning to the cockpit, confirm that the leveling valve EIs are in the vertical shut position as they were on the fueling services panel outside, then turn off the electrical master. Complete the interior inspection by first checking for the pyrotechnic signaling devices, the fire extinguisher, and the crash axe. This cover panel has been removed for training clarity and should normally be left in place. You should also have an originating turnaround checklist and a normal procedures checklist. In addition, check for a flotation jacket, an airport analysis book, a performance book, the emergency checklists, and the 2 T-cell flashlight. Behind the co-pilot seat, check for the operations manual, weight and balance manual, and crew manual. Also check for the 3 landing gear locking pins. In addition, a maintenance manual may be included to assist mechanics repairing the aircraft away from base. You may also find spare log sheets in this container. Check for a flotation jacket in the seat back pouch, and check that the rain repellent sight gauge is full of fluid. On the captain's side, you'll find a normal checklist, a flight manual, and the minimum equipment list. We also now have emergency medical kits stowed behind the co-pilot's seat. This concludes the Shorts 360 pre-flight.